so let's review it. Episode 94, right? Or 6, season 5. So, yeah, Momo brings out the cannon, the big guns, right? Fighting her model rival. I don't know why Kendo was surprised about this. It was like, oh, she likes cannons. They're like, he always likes cannon. But it was a good fight. Kendo, of course, showing her strategic intelligence, right? Picking up Momo. However, though, kind of like Todoroki said, it's like, no, Momo has a plan for this thing. I mean, one issue that Kendo had was that she was like in her face, challenging her. Like, I will show you, Momo, that I'm the better girl than you are. I'm the best girl here. It's like, okay. So she knew she would put in a duel, right? So kind of like, okay. Like, she could expect anything happening. I thought it was really good. It's animated quite well, right? And they had a whole... I always say one thing, though, where I feel Momo is lacking, though, honestly. Almost a little bit in writing itself, honestly. That Momo's just like blocking her, right? With her shields. Blocking her with the shields, right? Blocking her with the different tungsten. She's getting the cannon out. But I do feel that Momo could have done a lot more in a defensive manner than just having like shields, right? She could have, some caltrops. You've seen her earlier do that. She could have done some, the flashbangs or whatever, right? So I feel a little bit disappointed actually about Momo not doing anything else. I mean, the cannon and the lucky bag, I love that. Yeah, it was like an item drop for all the guys. That was really cool. But before this scene, like before she did the cannon, smacking Momo right with her massive fist, right? Yeah, she go in that big fist thing, right? I feel that here Momo could have done like caltrops or something. I feel he could have been a little more here that could have made Momo look a little more reasonable at defending herself. Because I feel the thing with Momo is that she has the same power basically, right, as the Molecule Man in X-Men or X-Men in 4. I mean, it's one of his 4 bad, I suppose. And the Sentry in Avengers, I suppose, the Dark Avengers storyline in Marvel. So Momo's power then, like the Sentry power then, one of the worst / best bad guy, I suppose, in Marvel. No one else. You have to read the comics for Sentry, but Sentry is a guy that has it's the power of 1,000 exploding suns. It's the best, yeah. The power of 1,000 supernovas. But he's incredibly powerful. But the Sentry has molecule powers, really. Like he can create stuff. Just like Momo, he can create stuff, right? And that's why he's so powerful. He makes himself powerful, right? By having like his body is like a living sun because he has the power of creating like suns, right? So that's why he's so powerful. So he's utilizing his molecule transformation, way better, right, than Momo is, quite obviously. But so let's assume Momo can't do that. Okay? Momo can't like empower her own body, which actually I think she should be able to do because again, this is the same kind of power, right? She can create stuff, in her body, right? Why can't she like make a metal skin or whatever? I don't know. But ignoring that stuff, she still should be able to do other stuff than that. So I think that's pretty good. But I do wish that Momo would have. I mean, again, even if she would have lost, right, it's the same result. I wish she would, throw out some other stuff right during it, like caltrops, something else, nets, I don't know, and then eventually get into cannon. But it's like something else, here she can maybe like do a flashbang to try to blind her, and I felt this a little bit like her powers is so limitless. Again, because she can just create stuff, she has to just like understand how they work molecularly. But it basically, I mean, as an anime character, she's limited to her imagination, right, more or less, right? She's limited to what she can build up in her brain, right? So her options are quite limitless in this fight, and she goes for shield, and yeah, she really loves cannons. She really loves against cannons, right? But she does something else. She's like shooting up like a lucky bag, yeah, with her name on it too. It's like yours, it's like even names tagged, yeah. Like an item drop in like Fort or something. That was nice. Getting that lucky bag, and generally, I think it's a good scene because Momo is like losing to Kendo, right, in a fight, and she's like, well, if I can't defeat this girl 1-on-1, I'm just gonna lose for the purpose. I'm just gonna take the attacks, lose the fight, but instead makes my allies win, right? So it's a good character moment from Momo that she's like willing to lose this, model girl fight, 1-on-1, right? And take that damage, take the lose, and purposely how to say it, knowing that she won't be able to win, but maybe her teammates can win, right, by the goggles and so on. So yeah, it's a good character moment, definitely. She's more willing to, think about her nakamas, right, and generally not just a friend with the typical anime nakama thing, but also, I mean, she's like focusing on the strategy, right, like winning the actual sport game, whatever you call it, like winning the tournament more than winning her own, like one-on-one individual fights, right? So she's like discarding her own prestige, I suppose you could say, yeah, her own prestige, and focusing on trying to make her friends win, right? So like 3 against 1 kind of lose thing, and they will win, right? So it's a good moment though from a strategic aspect. I think it's a really good plan from her that she's willing to take the L, right, so the other ones can win. So it's a good scene, and then of course eventually we see later that she kind of fused herself up to Kendo, right? So they kind of stuck together to slow Kendo down too. So she's both losing to Kendo and making her have a disadvantage, right? So she's losing, but she's making the lose. She's spoiling the loser. So it takes a longer time for Kendo to get to. So it's a very self-sacrifice moment there from Momo Yaoyorozu. Lucky bag, yeah. So this angle though, so Invisible Girl, right, she fights the manga power, and his face gets all like twisted. So I love this in here because every time she punched him, right, he has a living manga face, right. So when she punched him, his face would be like wrinkled, or it would be like twisted. Yeah, so he's like his living manga panel face got depending on damage he did though. However though, I'll say this thing though, why is she, I mean it's a typical thing with her, but like why is she not wearing, or why is she still wearing her gloves and shoes in the beginning of the fight? Like it doesn't make any sense. And suddenly now, after the mushrooms have been moved on her, thanks to of course Lucky Bag, like after the Lucky Bag's item has removed her mushrooms, now she's finally taking off her gloves and shoes. Why is she never just in her complete invisible mode? I think that is a little stupid though. That is such a bad, but I don't know. Like, is it unfortunate because it makes sense in maybe like in the beginning to have her go next to them and talk, so we as the viewer understand where she is. Doesn't just hear her voice, right? If you can see her hand, and it's kind of like kawaii thing, so we get a little bit like a, I don't know, the cutesy moment with her, right? A little more conversation. But as soon as she enters the actual fight, she should obviously immediately go into full actual, hiding mode, right? Full stealth mode, yeah. So it is kind of silly that she's like, oh, now I'm in stealth mode when the final thing is happening, or something, yeah. So I don't know. That to me is a little bit like, it's a little forced. I feel that she's, I don't know, like, not taking it seriously until the last second or something. Yeah, how can you explain it, right? It is much more just, I feel, forced, right, to make it look kawaii or more understandable for the viewer where she's standing when they are having their dialogues or whatever, right? More than actually making, it doesn't make any sense actually that she's like walking around with her hands on and so on. That being said though, I think this fight looked cool, but I think again it actually is a little stupid because she keeps punching his face from the front, right? He's like punching his face from the front, and it's a little bit like we see this animated. He's like bam, 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 bam. He's like, I can't see where she is, right? There's the ink bottle or maybe it's inked out, I don't know. But the whole fight is her just punching him forward, right? She's not like punching him in the face, then doing a swap, running around, She's not doing this stuff. She's punching him like this, right? Just forward. So I just feel like, couldn't he just punch forward? Because she hasn't even moved. She hasn't even tried to, go around him or whatever. So I think that actually the fight was kind of stupid. Like, why didn't she, like changing her location during the fight? She isn't. You just keep punching him from the front. So he can guess who she is. She's standing in front of him the whole fight. She isn't even trying to change. And then when Kendo appears and grabs her, like it makes sense that Kendo grabs her easily because she wasn't even trying to hide herself. She was just like bam, bam, bam. She comes behind her, yeah. So it does feel like it was too easy for Kendo to beat her. Kendo should have to struggle, right? Like trying to grab her, but she could just be like, oh, got you. Yeah, it wasn't harder than that because she was just standing in the exact same location while she was punching. And if she had kept moving around, right, then Kendo might have missed. They had to kind of fight there. So I feel that she was, I don't know. I think that was just stupid. It was too easy for Kendo to beat her, yeah, because of power, right? Yeah, and kind of suffocated them, I guess. And that was good because I felt like I was saying during the reaction part, I was like, what's her point of her powers otherwise? She just makes like a lot of mushrooms. It has to be some kind of spores, right? So kind of getting into your system, some kind of poison, some kind of something that makes you some kind of status element, right? Typical, mushrooms in many gaming and so on, right? It has to be some kind of sleep powder or poison powder or something like that. Basically a grass Pokemon. but I mean, otherwise, it's like, what's the mushroom doing? So it was quite predictable that it would happen. But so I'm happy she did it. But I would say it didn't look very heroic though. It looked very mean. Yeah, it's like, oh, she's like bad girl. Didn't look very heroic. But I like that she finally did that and won easily then, right? She easily defeated him when she got him there because it made sense. Because I was waiting for like, why is she just mushrooming everywhere? It has to be some kind of status attack. It has to be something like, oh, you're poisoned now, you can't walk anymore, you're paralyzed. There has to be something like that. Whereas it's just really stupid. But so yeah, I'm happy to see that Class B actually won, right? Because I said earlier, I don't want to see Class A just win everything, right? So that's good, and her powers are of course much more terrifying. They were in the beginning, right? Which also makes sense. Just didn't spend their time just mushroom everything, and of course had some love story too though with her and her shadow boyfriend. Yeah, there was some love story. Like, oh, come here, Sean. That was cute, and he's all like, you saved me. I like. He's like, cool for Nakamas. He's like, yeah, Nakamas. That was cute. That was goddamn adorable. He's trying to like, oh, you're so intelligent and powerful. Yeah. Oh, that was nice. Anyway, let's talk about the last thing that I didn't like though, because I felt that they're obvious in this anime, and that's the filler, right? This is after the opening, okay, guys. This is after the opening. So after the opening, they're still having more recap, right? Yeah. So the episode has something like, I don't know, 3.5. The episode started after minute 4 something. So we have the opening on that. So something like 3-minute recap, right? So there's a lot of recap for, I don't know, telling us that Shinzo won his fight, and it's this fight 2, right? So it's like fight 1 happened, and there's like fight 2 recap of the first part of fight 2. So it is a lot of fillery recap, right, again this episode, and that has become a very obvious pattern, I think, this season, more than any other season. Even though they had issues earlier too, this season has. Like this started feeling like a Black Clover episode, right, or like some One Piece or that. More like Black Clover because Black Clover also does this in the same thing. So what I mean here is that Black Clover actually, I think, is a little better than that in the later seasons, right? Black Clover did this a lot in the beginning, when people kind of dropped Black Clover. They did it a lot in the episode like 14, 15, 16, around that market in the middle there, kind of the beginning of Black Clover. It's a lot. So they're doing here is that first they recap before the opening, then they do the opening, and then after the opening, we still have like 1 or 2 more minutes of recap, or this is like even worse because this is just like the exact same scene again. This isn't even a recap, right? This is the last 1 or 2 minutes of last week. So this is very I feel Black Clover-ish, right? In Black Clover's worst episodes from a recap standpoint, where they kind of just have like recap and then into like redoing the exact same scene, right? And I feel here in Academia it's very noticeable. It's very, very noticeable how they're probably spending up to maybe almost 5 minutes, maybe more, of like recap flashbacks, right? That shouldn't be there. That is purely just padding it up because, yeah, again here, recap before the opening, recap, re-showing, whatever we call it, right? Filler basically, right? After the opening. And then later on in the episode, after the eyecatcher, so they had the eyecatcher, right? So they had the eyecatcher moment, Kendo versus Momo, eyecatcher, and then after the eyecatcher, it is the exact same canon scene again, right? So that is very, very like, yeah, episode 40, 50 of Black Clover, where it's like yet another recap, or that re-showing that after the eyecatcher. So do the exact same scene again, there's another half hour or 1 minute there, right? Plus some, a little bit flashback with like Momo and Todoroki and so on. That made sense though, in the context. He's like, I support my girl, I mean, I love her girl, I like this girl, yeah. It supported that though, but still, there's like another 1.5 or so minute of recap. So it's flashbacks. If you count that in, it's something like 6 minutes or so of recap filler, right, in episode. So that's like 25% episode, right, is just filler recap. So that's very unfortunate though. Sacked him last week, right? and so on. The first episode was filler. So they really are, I feel, they're going that shonen route now. And because the thing is that with One Piece, right, with Black Clover, especially then, and I suppose with Boruto currently, but arguably, but in these animes they are weekly, right? They're going every week, they're producing it every week. Well, Black Clover ended, but but up to that point, yeah, they did every week, and then it's like they kind of have to be like, well, one chapter per episode kind of thing, right? Especially One Piece, and they're trying to pad it out much as they can, right? I think actually right now in One Piece, Wano, they're doing it really well, right? Because they're adding in some cool scenes, some extra graphics. So in Wano, One Piece is doing it very well, except maybe the sumo fight, obviously, and some other issues. But mostly it's done quite good in One Piece. But here instead, this is like straight up, I think, the worst part of Black Clover, right? When Black Clover also did like recap, eyecatcher recap, flashback that doesn't make any sense, or like flashback, unnecessary flashback for like half a minute that we saw last week, and like flashbacking what we saw last episode kind of thing. It's just like, come on, you just saw that, yeah. So I don't know exactly here, but I think it's something about 6.5 minutes or a minute, right? If you count the Todoroki flashback, which I actually think made sense, right? But still a flashback nonetheless, right? So if you count everything, it's something like that. You can cut away from the episode, and that's a lot of time in like a 22-minute ending, though. So if you count the ending as well, then that's like 7.5 minutes. But then I count the ending, so that won't count. But so it's like in 21 minutes. It's a huge amount of time, though. And the thing is that they do it every episode, right? They're doing it every episode. So I do feel like I said last week, they clearly could have cut away easily 5 minutes last week too, right? And here they easily could cut away 6 minutes this episode. So you can do the math, do the math, right? In these 6 episodes, first is 100% filler, and then in the other they have it's a 5-minute fillers, right? So yeah, we should be about you can add one more episode in this time, right? Plus one more for the episode, kind of zero filler, right? Like 2 more episodes. But even ignoring that episode, a full filler episode, we easily have at least one more episode of screen time here, right? At least one more episode, probably like 1.5 hours if you really want to be nitpicky, but more like 1 episode at least. That's a lot, right? That's a lot. And unfortunately, I don't see them change this. Unfortunately, I see it's probably gonna stay that this. They're probably gonna keep this pacing until next arc or something. This arc is like the moment to just fill out and pad out stuff, right? So it's very unfortunate. I mean, I like the episode generally. I think the episode is good, but it's like, goddamn, you can remove like 6 minutes of the episode easily, and it would be the same episode, right? You can easily remove 6 minutes, probably even more than that. But yeah, that's the review, guys. I mean, again, just like last week, I liked the episode, right? I liked Momo, I liked the Lucky Bag thing. But you could easily remove 6 minutes. And that's just the honest truth, right? So I am disappointed in this, honestly. I like the scenes, but it's just like, man, you could remove 5-6 minutes per episode, right? So at episode 6 now, we would have had an episode 7, right? With that. And then you can really pace it out. But this episode here, it perfectly felt, because like even after the eyecatcher, they did another flashback or whatever, recap or whatever you call it, fillering time, right, after the eyecatcher. That's like super, I feel, way to extend the pacing, right? But anyway, that's my episode. See you guys tonight with, of course, Vivi, which is really good. I think episode Vivi, a really interesting storyline. The poor robots. Very Nia Automata though. It feels extreme Nia Automata and Vivi. I mean, I love Nia Automata playing the Gestalt now and Nia Replicant on the last game as well. But it's like, I mean, I love Automata, and then Vivi was exactly, even they look like the robots Automata. It almost feels kind of like, it's too similar. But anyway, I like it. Then we have Nagatoro and so on, as Saturday, all the animes, of course, One Piece last tonight, right? But the One Piece here. But again, this feels like One Piece. From like a filler standpoint, it feels like a One Piece. Like a filler padding issues. Yeah, it's like, oh, let's have like 5-minute recap. It's like, I mean, in One Piece, usually you can jump the first 5 minutes, right, in One Piece. You start at minute 5, then you kind of add with episode starts, right? This is how the episode feels too. But it's even worse, I feel, because they're kind of mixing it in the middle, right? So they're doing the Clover style of worse Clover. That's worse, because in One Piece, usually, you can skip the first 5 minutes and then get into it. Here's like, skip the first 4 minutes, then watch for a bit, skip 1 minute, skip 2 minutes. Like that's worse. Yeah, this is worse. This is worse, right? But anyway, see you guys tonight with